Hi, this is My Two Favorite Librarians. I'm Denise Corey.
I'm Chantel Taylor, and today we're talking about books of influence.
Or the 3 most influential books.
Is that an official hashtag?
Sure. Yeah, let's call it that. The 3
Okay.
most influential books. So what this came from is I ambushed the 3 authors that we had visit us in October and asked them about their 3 favorite books or their 3 most influential books. And I gave them no time to think about it. It was just, all right, give me an answer. I'm recording you. And everyone was really happy about that.
They were really happy, but we're trying to think of different things to do for this show. I'm using quoting marks you can't see.
Mm-hmm.
And
quoting
also,
marks work so well on the radio.
That's right. And also, we're not professional interviewers. We wanted a nice, simple question.
Yeah. So we'll start with Leslie Crew. She was with us on October 17th.
Sure, let's say that. Yeah.
Okay, so I have Leslie Crew with me.
Thank you.
Excited. I'm so glad you were here tonight. And I was asking Leslie what her favorite books are. And after she said she hates being asked what her favorite books are, she wrote a list. So what are your favorite books?
All right. My favorite books are all children's books
That is awesome.
because that's how I started my love of reading and writing, was in a library.
That is the best way to suck up to a librarian ever.
And that's the absolute truth. My mother was a kindergarten teacher, and she would take us when we were 2 and 3 years old to a library, and I just knew it was a special place. So, and it wasn't just the words, it were the pictures
Yes.
that I loved. So The Children's Garden of Verses by Robert Louis Stevenson, especially the little poem called The Swing and one called Windy Nights. I just love those little.
Can you recite them from memory? The look.
hate you.
Oh, the look I'm getting. Oh, the look.
If you have it here, I can read it. But those 2 I can remember through the ages. The next one is Matilda.
Yes.
Of course, because I felt like I was Matilda when I was growing up. I just loved living, just went to the library all the time. By Roald Dahl. I love everything that he writes. I love what he does for children, giving the power to children in his books.
Oh, he does do that.
He does, and that's special. And then Charlotte's Web by E.B. White. I remember I read it in one sitting, and it was the first time I realized that there was somebody else who felt like I did, that animals had feelings, like human beings had feelings, and we were all the same. And I remember I was so thrilled that somebody thought that way, because I thought maybe I was the only one. Because I basically do. I love animals more than people.
Even your hubby?
No, not hubby or family or friends or present company, but just that we're all creatures and we all need to be respected and loved. So those were the 3 special authors that I have kept with me all through my life.
Well, thank you. Even though initially you were hesitant, I do really appreciate this.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you.
So you can see that she had, even though she didn't have a lot of time to think about it, and
She had an answer.
She was a little bit cranky pants with me. But
I don't blame her.
She had an answer. It was really, really good. And I have to agree with her because one of the books she mentioned was E.B. White, Charlotte's Web.
Yes.
And that was a very influential book.
I do remember reading that as a kid, yeah.
My mom actually recorded herself reading it so I could play it anytime I wanted.
Oh, that's cute.
And I kind of think that was like my early introduction to audiobooks.
Nice. Do you know what when we were talking about this, and I was thinking about all the stuff that I've read, do you remember those books with records, like the square records?
Yeah.
And you could play,
it dinged
yes,
to
tell
turn
you
the
to page.
page.
I
love those.
loved those.
I had the Rescuers.
I had Rapunzel, like the Disney Rapunzel, and I think I had a Star Wars one too.
Yeah, the Rescuers was Disney too. I didn't see the movie for years.
Oh, I loved the Rescuers movie.
So then I asked Kayla Hounsell what her three favorite or three most influential books were. And she actually only gave me two.
Yes, they were both very serious.
This is Denise Corey, and I'm with Kayla Hounsel, the author of First Degree, and I'm going to give her the first degree and ask her what her three favorite books are or three most influential books are.
This is very stressful.
I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
No, I'm not, actually.
Okay, I'm going to give you two, because I can think of two off the top of my head.
Okay.
The first one is called A Mighty Heart by Marianne Pearl. And it is about the beheading of her husband, Daniel Pearl, who is a journalist in Pakistan. And I read that when I was in journalism school at Carleton University. So for me, it was very influential, to answer your question, because I was a young journalist at that time, and I was just so struck by his pursuit of the story, and that he ended up giving his life in pursuit of that. And then, of course, she writing the book, but a very personal story for her because it happened to her husband.
Wow, that's a pretty moving first book. What are you going to follow that up with?
It's totally different.
Okay.
You might know this one more. It's called A Long Way Gone by Ismail Beya.
Yeah.
Memoirs of a Child Soldier. So he was a child soldier. He fled Sierra Leone and was made a child soldier by the government army. And this is his story of being rescued by UNICEF and how he climbed out of that absolute darkness. And I think this is a book that everyone should read. Particularly for me, you might know this about me, I have a bit of a love affair with Africa. I've been to Africa 3 times. In fact, when people found out that I was writing a book, many people asked me if it was about my time in Africa. So, you know, I have a bit of a soft spot for stories like that, so I like that one even more.
So now should we expect a book about Africa from you? Am I making you give away secrets?
No, you're not. But, I mean, many people have asked me this. I think that it's not out of the question, but I think I'd need to go again.
You should get Nimbus to sponsor you to go to Africa.
To write another book. Wow, is this you telling Nimbus to do that?
I'm so influential.
So, as an escapist reader who doesn't want to really go anywhere near reality in my, entertainment reading.
Except for true crime.
Is this are you who she was talking about when she introduced me, saying that you don't...
She hates true crime. I love true crime, even though it's totally, I know it's a complete
That's not
inconsistency.
escapist reading.
It's not. I don't, anyway.
Okay.
What do you read, on the beach for fun?
Well, I try to read, I read a lot of nonfiction, to be honest. So when I'm on the beach for fun, I try to read fiction. And I'll pretty much read anything, to be honest. But I like reading stuff that has a bit of a buzz around it. So if it's something that has been written about, or that I see people talking about on social media, or maybe they're just talking about it, I want to read it because I am curious. And I don't like when people talk about things I don't know about.
The reporter.
Yes, always the reporter.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
So even though she didn't have a lot of time to think about it, she gave very in-depth answers, really.
And I think even though you're asking people, I think if we went up to patrons in the library and said, give me off the top of your head your 3 most influential books, I think they could do it.
Yeah, I think some people could.
think readers could do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and also Kayla Hounsel is a journalist. She was with us because she has just published her first book, which is called First Degree. It's a nonfiction book about the trial of William Sanderson, which it's a very difficult topic in this area. But I think as a journalist, she could just sort of come up with these answers off the top of her head and sound very well spoken.
Oh, excellent speaker. She was very good.
And then, of course, we also had Bruce Graham towards the end of October. And most people know who Bruce Graham is. He's a popular local author. He's written fiction and nonfiction. His novel, Diligent River Daughter, actually made me cry. And I think he was a bit tired because he had signed a fair number of books. People just love to chat with Bruce.
Yeah.
And so this is his answer for his top 3. I'm Denise Corey, and I'm here with Bruce Graham, and I'm going to ask him what his 3 favorite books are.
Wow.
I know, it's a hard question.
In the Fall by Jeffrey Lind. The Law of Dreams, I can't remember who wrote it, and The Winds of War by Herman Wouk.
What? You had those like right off the top of your head. That's amazing. I don't know. I would have had to struggle with that a little bit more.
Well, you gave me a minute's notice.
A minute? Well, that was apparently a very fruitful minute for you. Thanks, Bruce.
Okay.
So, what are your 3 books?
So one of them I mentioned,
Charlotte's Web.
Leslie Crew mentioned. So, I'm very much like Leslie Crew. So well-spoken. And, yeah. Anyway. Also, The Coming of Winter by David Adams Richards.
Interesting.
He's a New Brunswick writer. And I read this book in the first year of university. And before this book, I didn't know that people wrote about the places like where I was from, like that people wrote about small rural communities and what it was like to grow up there where, everyone knows you and your grandmother and half the people in your high school are your cousins. And that's the kind of thing that David Adams Richards writes about. And the fact that they were also teaching it in university just blew my mind.
I know we've discussed that I'm not really a Canadian reader, but I have read some David Richard Adams.
Adams Richards.
I always mix up his name. And I really did enjoy him because I read Nights Below Station Street and I read, what's the other one? Where she's pregnant, is that like Nights Below Station Street?
For Those Who Hunt the Wounded.
Yes.
And I have a hard time reading his books now because they are
very sad.
They can be quite bleak, and it can be hard to look at your community that way.
When I was in library tech, we read short story book by him, and he had one particular short story that we read out loud in class about how he was a smoker as like a small child, and he and his friends were lighting cigars behind the sofa and set the sofa on fire, and they used to stand in the gutter, in the ditches next to the poles, and smoke where they thought no one could see them. And his parents did what I guess all parents did in those days, which is when they found their small children smoking, they put them in the high chair and made them smoke a whole pack of cigarettes. And his aunt walked in and said, "Oh, I didn't know the baby smoked." It was the funniest story ever.
I think that is very much like a thing in this area. It's like, I find you smoking, I'll make you smoke.
That's right.
And also really influential to me is Stephen King. I know that's an author, not a specific book. I can't remember the first book I read by him. But I do remember, so my brother is 5 years older than me, and the library in Moncton used to not let you into the adult section until you were 12.
Interesting.
So he would go upstairs to the adult section and get Stephen King books and sci-fi books and horror books and all kinds of things. And I was super envious. And then he would bring them home and then I would read them.
Secretly,
Yeah. Not so secretly. So, those were books that had big influences in my reading. Not that I necessarily follow all of those now, but what about you?
So when I was thinking about this, I really kind of limited myself to my childhood because...
Are you saying I did it wrong?
No. Because I think I was wondering if maybe I was doing it wrong, but I limited it to my childhood because my house did not have a lot of books in it. My mom was not a reader. Books were not a priority. And so I kind of read whatever was at my hand. So one of the things I wanted to mention was we had this set of encyclopedias from the 70s. And it came with the encyclopedias, a medical set, and then a children's story set. So it wasn't like a children's encyclopedia. It was like a set of children's stories. And I read that all the time because it was literally the only thing in the house to read. I also read the medical encyclopedia as well. And not that I was absorbing all this information, but it was I'll just read this.
Yeah. Yeah. I when you're a reader...
Yeah.
I'll read the back of a cereal box. I read everything.
The other thing I would like to point out, which never really occurred to me until I was really, really old, and I'm not even going to tell you, I'm so ashamed to realize it, but I used to travel. We lived in the country in Rice Point, PEI, and I used to travel with my mom into Charlottetown every day. So it was like a half an hour in and half an hour out, and I would go in with her at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I would be at school early, and then I would walk downtown to the bank where she worked, and I would wait there for 2 hours. The library was right across the street, and I did not know it. Aww. No one ever, not a teacher, not my mother. No, I'm banging the thing, but
she's banging on the table, and I don't know if that'll come through in the recording.
But no one ever pointed it out. I could have been at the library the whole time.
That's really sad.
And I missed out on so many things that I didn't read until I was older because I just didn't know.
Well, and like I said, I skipped ahead of reading things because my brother was older, and I didn't want to be reading those baby books.
Yeah. So my second book was Little Women, and my aunt gave this to me. My aunt was a reader, and so she gave me a lot of books. She gave me Anne of Green Gables. There were
Thank goodness for your aunt.
She gave me Charlotte's Web, but she gave me Little Women from like her sort of books. And I don't know if these were books that she actually read or if they were like display books in her fancy den. But I had Little Women until like pretty recently. I just got rid of the copy. And I don't know if it was like flooded or it was like moldy or something, but I had to get rid of it. But I had it for years. I loved it. And my third, and it's again an author, not a book, is Gordon Corman.
Yeah, see, I've never read anything by Gordon Corman.
I read him, and he was actually books I went out and bought because it wasn't something that we spent our money on. Like my mom was a single mom, there wasn't a lot of money to go around. But
too bad
I bought
you didn't
those
go
books.
to the library.
Yes.
Because
yeah. So I was sad that I didn't know if I could go back in time, my life would be different.
We were very lucky because where I grew up until I was like 13 or so, the bookmobile stopped in front of my house. And also for my mom, it was like a fun, special thing for us to do, to go to the library. That was like a fun day out for us.
One of my favorite library stories, one of my coworkers from Halifax, she's a voracious reader, and she's a lot like you. She'll read anything, like just put a book down in front of her. And
says the woman who read the medical encyclopedia.
Well, and I didn't absorb any of it. I just wanted to read things. But she was going to her library, and I can't remember where she's from. If she was from Newfoundland, she was somewhere small, like small town, and she went through like kind of the juvenile section, or she went through the young adult section and then started like at A and started with the adult section. And so she's reading these books, and the librarian came over and slid a copy of The Wizard of Oz across the table and walked away from her.
Yeah.
And it like opened up a completely different read because she had skipped that sort of young section and went right for the teen and then for the adult. And it was like she wouldn't have read it if that person hadn't have stepped in.
Yeah, I didn't read The Wizard of Oz until I was probably in my 20s.
Yeah.
So what are you reading right now?
I just finished Look Alive 25 by Janet Ivanovich, which is the latest in the Stephanie Plum series, one of my favorite reads.
But you're listening to it on audio.
I love it on audio, yes. I was looking through the box, desperate. I was like, there's the book, where's the audio book? And it was good.
And when she says she's looking through the box, she means that pretty much every Thursday,
Friday.
Although some other days we get deliveries of books at the library headquarters that we assign to the branches, and it's just like Christmas every week. It's the best.
Yes.
So exciting.
What are you reading?
I am reading True Blue by David Baldacci.
Oh,
so I'm not usually a detective or procedural person, but
is it like a mystery, like dead body book, or is it more like
okay, it's a dead body book. So there is Mace. She was a police officer in DC. She got framed for some sort of crime, and we haven't been given the details yet. So I'm still early in the book. And then she spent 2 years in prison. She's out. She's looking for the person who set her up. And then there's also Ray, who is a lawyer with this fancy firm, and he's just discovered a dead body in his office.
Okay.
That's where I'm at.
Okay.
Not really a David Baldacci reader, but, you know, he's been recommended to me several times, and I thought I would give it a try.
He circs a lot, so
Yeah.
people love him. People do.
Did you know
Probably not.
that you can borrow a light therapy lamp from the library?
I did know that, actually.
Yeah. You can borrow it for 2 weeks at a time.
So, are you going to explain what a light therapy lamp is?
Light therapy is a way to treat seasonal affective disorder, also known as SAD, which is a really good acronym because sad makes you sad. So, you know, like the days get short and dark, and it causes a lot of people to have depression. So this lamp, this artificial light that you can sit next to for, I think it's about 20 minutes, will help alleviate your mood. And the library is loaning them out for like 2 weeks. Free.
Nice.
I know, we're so awesome.
We are.
What else is happening?
Book sale is happening at the library. The first weekend in December, we have our annual book sale. It will be coming up starting November. I realize it's not really starting in December, but starting November 29th, November 30th, and December 1st.
So many good deals.
We're still looking for volunteers. So if you want to volunteer, give us a call at the Amherst Library, 902-667-2549. I almost gave the headquarters number. And you can sign up to volunteer. And then if you don't want to volunteer, and that's okay too, just come in and buy books. We're okay with that.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah.
So follow the library on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, where we will be posting information about our book sale.
Yes, we will.
And on our website,
www.cumberlandpubliclibraries.ca.
what are we talking about next week?
Next week, we're talking about holiday movies.
Oh, good.
Yes, it is good.
See you next week.
Bye.